Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we just got to the MARTA hospital. I have to check in this afternoon. We're a little bit late, but I had an appointment, last minute appointment with the doctor made like yesterday afternoon while I was at work. And she said that not to stress, just take time. I don't need to worry about like getting there as quick as I can kind of thing. So yeah, just with Troy at the moment, and yeah, I'm gonna go in there and hopefully I can film as much as I can getting my gallbladder removed, but we shall see. I'm a little bit nervous, and you know, I can't believe today it's finally here, but anyway, so yeah, I don't really know what to say, but yeah, I think when we get in, I have to check in, and we're gonna have some tests done. I'm gonna have some blood tests and stuff to see how my liver function's going and all that. But yeah, so I'll hopefully fill you in. Feeling a bit anxious and a bit nervous, kind of the same thing, but yeah, see how we go. Anyway, I better get out of the car now and make my way into the hospital. I'll check in soon. Hey guys, so the last clip that you've seen was, I think, of me in the car on the Tuesday the 10th of December. Sorry, I've got a really like scratchy throat at the moment. Just feels really like scratchy, and yeah, I think I've got some phlegm and stuff, I think. So it wasn't just for them sticking the tubes down my throat. I think I might have got a little cold, even though it's hot as hell. Anyway, so I am 3 days. I'm 3 days post-op today, and I can tell you I am feeling so much better. I'm still sore, I'm still tender, but I am feeling so much better. I tried unfortunately I was planning on getting my camera out, trying to get it out as much as I could in the hospital, and unfortunately that kind of didn't happen at all. I had to stay a night in hospital before my operation, before my gallbladder removal surgery. I had to stay a night before because they needed to monitor the baby and just check that everything was okay before going into surgery and all that kind of stuff. So they just, as a precaution, they just made me stay in the night before. And then yeah, so that was kind of, it was a little bit hard staying the night before surgery, not because I was really anxious about surgery, it's just because, you know, I'm a homebody, I like my own bed, and I missed Troy and the kids so very much. So that was kind of really hard. And you know, staying in hospital, your sleep is quality is not the best, because, you know, especially if you're sharing with other patients, which I was, so that kind of also made it a bit difficult to pull out the camera as well. So yeah, when you're sharing with other patients, and especially if they're post-op patients, it can be really tricky to get a good night's quality sleep, because the nurses aren't just coming in for obs, you know, to take their blood pressure and your blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. They're also like, you know, doing other stuff for them and giving them painkillers and checking on things and their wounds and, you know, all that kind of stuff throughout the night. So trying to get them to the toilet and all that kind of stuff. So all that lovely post-op stuff. Yeah, so basically just trying to manage their pain and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so obviously the quality of sleep was very poor that night for me. So I only got like 1 to 2 hours sort of stints of sleep. So that was a bit rough. And then about 4 o'clock in the morning I had my nurse come in and do my obs, which was just the blood pressures, basically just to check my, blood pressure. And then yeah, and then and then she asked me to put my gown on, so I had to just remove all my clothing, and then I had like these hospital undies that they give you, and your hospital gown, and then the socks, the tight socks that they put on you to help with blood flow so you don't get any blood clots, which a nurse came and helped me put them on, because there was no way I was going to be able to get those on myself. Let's be honest, they're hard to get on. So anyway, so yeah, so that was the Wednesday morning. About 4 o'clock I had a shower, and I was ready by, I think I was ready by like 5:30, 6 o'clock or something. 5:30 I think I was ready, and I had all my, I was showered. Yeah, so about 5:30 I was showered, and I had all my gear on that I needed to have on for the surgery. And then yeah, I just waited till about 7:30, and the doctor came around and said they're going to take me soon, and then the nurse came around, and then I ended up being wheeled into the pre-op area at I think 10 to 8, and then I had to stay in the so the wardie came, picked me up and wheeled me into the pre-op area. I stayed there for a little bit because they had to get the midwife down to check the baby, just to put the Doppler on, check the heartbeat and all that, and monitor that and make sure that was okay. And then they also needed to sign the consent form, or date the consent form, because when they did the signing of the consent form for surgery, it wasn't dated, so they had to do that. So that took a little bit more time. And then yeah, and then I just to go through things, the checklist, the pre-op checklist, which is, you know, just you don't have any metal things in you, do you have anything metal in you, do you yeah, so no, basically just only the permanent plate I have behind, or the permanent wire I have behind my teeth here. And just, you know, checking like, what are you in here, what are you in for, blah blah blah, just going through like, you know, a checklist, basically a pre-op checklist. So the nurse did that, and as well, and then the anesthetic nurse came in, did that as well, and then I was seen by the anesthetic doctor. He came in and seen me and just went through, you know, there is risks with general anesthetic, but they are very low, and the risks outweigh the risk of having the general anesthetic to have the surgery is far less than not having it and you having another attack and it being really bad and really not good for you and the baby and all that kind of stuff. So the risks were really low, which was good, because obviously I was comfortable with that, knowing that the risks were really low and that I was in a hospital that was really accustomed to doing pregnancy operations for non-pregnancy related, so doing pregnant mothers operations for non-pregnancy related operations, if that makes sense at all. You know, it's like appendix removal and gallbladder removals. They are the two most common, apparently. So yeah, so anyway, so I had that, and then obviously I couldn't take my camera or my phone or anything valuable into, you know, the pre-op area and surgery, because I was by myself, because hubby had to take the kids to school and then he was going to come up afterwards. So yeah, so I called him and the kids on the phone before I went in and spoke to them briefly. So yeah, so then I And then I got wheeled into, and then after that everything was fine, the baby was fine, the heart rate was fine, everything was good. They did the checklist, they dated the consent, all that, whatever. Once that was the case, once that was over, then I got wheeled into the anesthetic bay, which is like just like a small little room, has the double doors on each side of the walls, and then there's the double doors and you go into the theatre. So it's like a little waiting bay before going into theatre. So it's an anesthetic bay basically. And then I think they did another like check off thing, and obviously the anaesthetist was there, and he put the cannula in my arm, and he also was joined by his boss. So like I think it must have been maybe the consultant, the anaesthetist consultant was there, I don't know, that's what I assume anyway. And I remember he was like really tall, like really tall, but he was a lovely man. He was so lovely, and also the anesthesiast was nice too. Yeah, so he was just there. I think it's just precautions probably to just help administer the general anesthetic whilst, because I was pregnant sort of thing. So because I don't think they normally would, unless it was, you know, unless they were interns, I don't think they would normally have a senior doctor there in that field. So I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. So anyway, yeah, so I had that, and then and then they were just waiting for, then I was still in there for a little while. I was probably in the anesthetic waiting bay for like half an hour, because they had to wait for the doctors to come into the theatre and get prepped for surgery. And they were just, yeah, because they were in a meeting, so they're just waiting for them. So yeah, so once that happened, just before I got wheeled in as well, I also drank this little drink, and it helped with nausea, because my mum and my sister, when they had surgery and they had general anesthetic, they've been quite sick from that. And also with me, when I had my cesarean with having my daughter, even though it was just general, it was even though it was just is it local anesthetic, or like the, what's it called, pregnancy brain. I might put it on the screen, but even though I had that, and it was like you were awake for the procedure or whatever, obviously, even though I had that, I was still sick, and then they had to give me this other medicine through my IV whilst they were cutting me open to stop the nausea. So I knew I'd probably get really sick having general anesthetic. So I did mention that to them, and they just gave me this little drink. It was like this clear drink in this little bottle, and you just, the best way to have it was just drink it all, just quickly, just gulp it all in. And it wasn't too bad. It just tasted like, basically just tasted like really bad seawater. It was like really salty, sort of bitter kind of. But yeah, so that obviously helped, because the anesthesiast gave me that drink to have to help with the nausea. And I can tell you that I did not get any nausea, and I did not get any vomiting whatsoever. So that definitely helped. So if you are someone who is going to have your gallbladder removed, or, you know, whilst you're pregnant or not, and you've had surgery before, you just think that you may get sick from that, just tell them that, or family members or friends, or like family members or whatever, you know, have had general and been sick. Make sure you mention that to them while they're doing pre-op list and everything, checklist and everything. Like, make sure you mention that as frequently as it comes up, because something can give you something and it can really help. So yeah, so I was really happy with that. And then yeah, and then I went into, everything was done, I had my cannula in, everything was checked off. I went out of the anesthetic waiting bay, went into theatre through the double doors, and then they just put the gas, like they put the breathing mask on. And my mum said, did they make you count back from 3? Like, what do you remember? And I said, no, all I remember was that he just put the gas, like the mask on my face, and told me to just take in really deep breaths. And I remember, I think I took about 3 like really deep breaths, one after another, like, and then next thing I knew, I was in recovery, and they were like tapping me saying, Kylie, you're in recovery now, wake up Kylie, you're in recovery. And that's all I remember. So it's funny how, you know, that hour to 2 hours or whatever I was actually in theatre for, because they did say it would take about an hour, but I think it took them a little bit longer because my mum said I was like, I basically got wheeled into the pre-op area. I got wheeled away at like 10 to 8 and I didn't get wheeled back to like 1:30. I was in recovery for a while because I was in a lot of pain. So obviously, you know, and that goes with anyone, if they've just had theatre, they've just had a surgery, recovery will keep the patients in for as long as need be, because they have more things to them. They have more things available, more medications available to them to help with pain and you know, all that kind of stuff. So as long as your observations are okay and you've got your pain under control, then they will wheel you back to the ward. So they didn't do that for me until my pain started to decrease, and they fill you in, and what they do is they fill you up with gas as well. So I felt so much pressure and I felt a lot of pain after the operation, and I felt a lot of pain at the top as well on my stomach from the pressure and from the just uncomfortableness as well from the gas. So they fill you up with gas basically so they can see what they need to see the gallbladder and everything. So yeah, so I had that, and then I had this medicine. They put it in my cane. The nurse, he was just so lovely. He was such a lovely post-op nurse as well. Like, everyone at the Mater Brisbane was so lovely. Like, thank God for nurses, honestly. Like, thank God for doctors too, because they're the ones that perform the surgeries and everything like that. But like, the care that you get from nurses is just amazing, honestly. Like, I had the best care from every single nurse that looked after me, and it just made me think, like, thank God for nurses. Like, and like every time like they did something for me, I was like, thank you. Like, you know, even if they just gave me a Panadol, I'd be like, oh, thank you for that, thank you. Like, just thanking them all the time, because it was just like, yeah, it was just so nice. Like, it's just, yeah, it's wonderful. And we're so lucky that we have a good health care system like that, that you can get good care in a public hospital like that, you know. We're really lucky. Yeah, we're a lucky country. So anyway, I'm not sure what the medication was or anything, but I just remember he gave me about 3 top-ups of this medication that went through my cannula, because the pain from the surgery and the pain from the gas was just, it was a lot. It was pretty full on. It was like a 9 out of 10 pain. Yeah, when I first came out, it was probably 10 out of 10. Well, not 10 out of 10. Probably an 8 out of 10. But yeah, it was pretty painful. So and then they just said, are you in more pain? How are you going? And then they just kept, yeah, and then they just kept monitoring my pain level and whatnot. So eventually I was then, after my pain had got under control, I was wheeled up to the ward, and then I was given some endone tablets as well to help. And then, yeah, so I was given some endone tablets to help when I was wheeled up to the ward. And Troy was in the patient area, and he was just like, oh my god, thank god, because he was so worried about me. Because, yeah, like, it's interesting because I work in a hospital. I'm an admin officer in a hospital, and I have a system that I can check to tell you whether, you know, whether they're in pre-op or theatre or recovery or whatever. And yeah, like the MARTA would have their own system, but it's just funny, like it's just interesting being on the other side of it, kind of thing, being an actual patient, and then like my own family members being the concerned, like, when is she coming back, you know, kind of thing. Yeah, so that was interesting. But anyway, so I got up to the ward. Yeah, so I got up to the ward, like I said. I had some pain, more pain relief. Troy was with me, and then I just remember, yeah, just it was really painful. I think it was about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours after I was in the ward. I then got up and went to the toilet and did a wee, and the nurse came and helped me out of bed, and then eventually I had something to eat, and I, like, because at the MARTA Brisbane, in the public and private health system, they have like room service, so you just like have your menu and you call and order your meal. And I ordered like all these things because I started to get really hungry because I hadn't eaten at all till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was really hungry, like starving, had hunger pains in my stomach. So I was like, okay, it's time to eat. That's probably a good sign. And then I just, once the food arrived, I was just like, couldn't really eat that much, and I just had like a little bit of custard, and I just could not really eat that much because my appetite was just pretty diminished at that point. So it was very decreased. So yes, I just ate a little bit, and then I think I had a sleep, and Troy was with me the whole time, and he waited up with me until I think 7 o'clock that night, and then he went home and picked up the kids from my sister's house, and my mum and dad came up at about, I think, 6 o'clock, and they stayed for a little bit, for an hour or so. And I just remember being so tired. So basically they just, yeah, so I was just really tired. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when I was in recovery, they did get another midwife down, and I was still a little bit out of it, so I don't even kind of remember. But they did get a midwife and check the baby. They did have the monitor, and they checked the baby and all that, kind of checked the heartbeat and everything like that. So they were really vigilant with that sort of thing, which is just great. So they checked pre-op, post-op, and again the next morning as well. So yeah, so they're really vigilant with that. And then they obviously checked it when I checked into hospital as well on the Tuesday. So yeah, so baby's movements were really decreased because baby was obviously having a really good sleep, and yeah, so the baby's movements were just very dismal. The baby's movements were just very, very slow and very dismal, not really active. and obviously after general anesthetic, not just, you know, you're tired, but also your baby is tired too. So that was all fine. Like, I knew the baby was not active because it was tired, so it was fine. And then I think it probably took about, it's probably like about 10, and then yeah, after my mum and dad and Troy left, I literally just fell asleep at 7 o'clock, woke up at about 10:30, so I had a pretty good stint of sleep. Woke up at 10:30 and there was like a massive storm, which was good because we need the rain. Yeah, so there was a massive storm, it woke me up, and they had to do the obs, check the blood pressure and all that anyway. And I needed to go to the toilet, and I was feeling a little bit better. Wasn't in so much pain. The pain was pretty low. It was like at about a 3 or a 4. Mind you, I do have a pretty high pain tolerance as well, but it might be different for you if you're having this procedure done, you know. So just take it slow, take it easy, and just don't push yourself. And you know, you make sure that you have a lot of bed rest, but also make sure that you do get up. Like, if you need to go to the toilet, get up and go to the toilet, and try and do that yourself if you can. The first time, obviously, your nurse will have to help you or whatever, but after that, after that point, then just try and get up yourself and just hold your stomach, like hold your tummy up, and that will really help as well to get out of bed. But the more that you get out of bed, the easier it becomes, if that makes sense. So yeah, so the more you get out of bed, the easier it will become. And yeah, and just to expect to be really tired, expect to be in pain, and yeah, just expect to be a little lethargic and run down. And obviously, because you had like an organ come out of your body and stomach surgery, so you know, so you're gonna feel like that. And you may also feel sick too, so it depends. Like, obviously I was lucky I didn't, but you may, if you're having surgery, you may feel that way. But yeah, so I might show you I might show you my stomach. It's nothing gruesome. It's all like you know, I might show you my stomach. It's nothing too, like, it's nothing gruesome. It's just little cuts. So I have 4 cuts basically, and one on the belly, in the belly button, and the one in the belly button is where they pull out the gallbladder. And when you're pregnant, your stomach muscles are very tender, so one of the reasons why I was in surgery for more than an hour, because it usually just takes an hour, the procedure, but why I was in there for longer was because they had trouble, because being pregnant, your stomach muscles is very loose, so it's hard for them to pull out, it's harder for them to pull out the gallbladder and get to where they need to get to. And also I had they put a shield over the baby, but I had while I was in theatre, I had an x-ray too while I was under general anesthetic. So they just checked that. So basically they checked, because I had all these gallstones in my gallbladder, and they wanted to check, so make sure that I didn't have any running down in the bile ducts. Basically it's like a passage from your gallbladder to so it's just like a couple passageways from your gallbladder. And when I had my attack, I had a gallstone lodged in the bile duct, and that's why, one of the reasons why I was admitted when I had my first attack at 9 weeks pregnant, because my liver test my liver function test was really bad, and they were really concerned about me, and that's one of the reasons why I had this gallbladder removed whilst being pregnant as well, because that could happen again, and if that was to happen, then that could be a lot worse, a lot more serious implications from that. So anyway, so they did the x-ray and they found that I didn't have, like, my blood test was good, but it doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a gallstone in there. But when they did the x-ray, they found that I didn't have any lodged in the bile duct, which is thankfully, thank God for that. Otherwise I would have had to have another procedure where they stick the camera into you to get it and whatnot, to have a look at it. So yeah, so I didn't need to do that, which was fantastic, and I'm happy about that. And my gallbladder wasn't too inflamed. It was inflamed, but it wasn't like extremely inflamed, which was good. So it was pretty moderately inflamed apparently, and then I just had all these, I had a fair few gallstones in my gallbladder. So yeah, so the surgery went really well, and recovery has been good. The first night when I got home from the next day, the Thursday, I was discharged, and then that first night back home, it was a bit difficult because I'm a side sleeper, so I found that a little bit difficult because I like to sleep on my side and I couldn't. I had to sleep on my back, and so I did get a little bit of back pain. But yeah, anyway, but I will show you my stomach. So this here is what it looks like at the moment, and that's my so this is my belly button, my surgery, like where I had my done here, and then I just have one little incision here, and then I have 2 incisions on the right side. So all up there was 4 incisions, and like I said, the one in the belly button is where they pulled out the gallbladder. So yeah, so one thing that I suggest that you do, so whatever movement you have, I suggest that you just hold your stomach like this, and then you just like get up like that, just to help, because that helps with pressure and gravity as you get up. Your stomach's not like the weight of your belly button, because it's crazy how much we use you know, the center of our stomach muscles and the core of our stomach to do everything. Like for so many of our movements, it's based around that middle section of our core. So if you do just hold your stomach, like this, you know, just like hold it like that as you get up, or as you roll over, or whatever you do, just hold your stomach when you get in and out of bed and all that kind of thing. That will help. Also, I did have a lot of swelling. I do have a little bit of swelling now, and I'll show you what I use, because I just use these gel packs that you can heat and that you can put in the freezer. And obviously, because it's summer here in Australia, I have put them in the freezer and just put like a cloth over my stomach, and then put the pack over my stomach on top of the cloth, just so so it cools it and all that, and that has helped a lot. So I'll show you that. So this is what it is. It's just a gel pack here, and you can get them, put them in the freezer, or you can put them in the microwave, and it just helps. So if you're able to just put it on your stomach like that, it just really helps with the swelling. So yes, so like I said, I am 3 days post-op and I'm feeling so much better. I still have pain, I still have a little bit of pain, but I haven't really been taking many pain meds, like which is just Panadol and Nurofen, or Panadol and ibuprofen. So yes, that's been really good, and I've just been resting when I needed to rest and just taking it easy. I can't drive for a week, and then I'm off from work for 2 weeks, but I can't drive for a week, and then the doctor said I can drive the next week, and that's up to me as long as I feel capable and feel okay enough to be able to drive. So yeah, so just play it by ear and see what happens, and if I'm feeling up to it, then I will drive in the second week. If not, then I won't. But yeah, so all in all, I'm glad everything went well, and yeah, everything went you know, how I was hoping it would go. Obviously that was lucky, and then but obviously baby's fine. So you know, baby started to get lots of energy and started to kick me a lot and all that kind of thing later in the night on the Wednesday, and then started to really move a lot the next morning as well. So yeah, so baby just had a really good sleep like her mum. Probably had better sleep than I did, but you know, it's okay. Yeah, so obviously everything went well like I said, and I'm just at home and recovering. So yeah, so if you have any questions or I've forgotten anything, which hopefully I haven't, then just feel free to comment, and I will get back to you. But yeah, so if you're watching this because you're pregnant and you're having your gallbladder removed too, just know that it's okay to feel anxious about it and concerned and scared and whatever, but it will, you know, whether you stay one night or you stay 2 nights or whatever, you know, I'm sure the hospital that you go to will take those precautions, and yeah, I'm sure everything will be fine. But you know, just know that, you know, you can be pregnant and have surgery and everything be okay. So yeah, so I hope you're all doing well, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to subscribe if you want to subscribe, and if you got anything out of this video, feel free to like it. But other than that, I will see you next time in another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.